Chapter 3-13A in your textbook, we have lots of transactions to take a look at here. We have A through P. You'll also notice in your textbook that you have your chart of accounts, which are necessary to use for ensuring that we have the right count numbers. So we're just going to go through these transactions. The answers are already in front of you, but we're just going to kind of talk about them, explain them, and this will be very helpful to you when you complete your assignment 13B. So A says that we invested cash in the business transaction. So remember, there's always at least two items affected. So when I invest cash in the business, right here with A, I'm going to increase my cash by $25,000 and I increase my capital. So I have my debit to cash and my credit to capital, and they equal, which is required for every transaction. B says that I purchased a used van for cash. All right, I purchased a used van. So let me scroll down here. Here's my van, transaction B. I have a van and it cost me $6,000, so I debit, increase my van account for $6,000. How did I pay for it? Well, I paid cash. So if I spend cash, that decreases my cash account, so here's my credit up here to cash. C, purchased equipment on account for $4,000. Okay, purchased equipment. I have equipment. Assets are things that I have. So I'm going to increase my equipment for $4,000. And how did I pay for it? On account. So on account does not have anything to do with cash. On account means I'm going to pay him later. So anytime we're going to pay later, we're going to use accounts payable. So it increases with a credit. So I have my $4,000 credit to accounts payable and my debit to my piece of equipment. I received cash for services rendered. Okay, the received cash should be a key there that you're going to increase your cash account. So over here, D, received cash. Anytime somebody gives you cash, you're increasing cash. Well, why did I receive cash? It says for services rendered. That means I provided a service. Whatever my business is, I provided it. So I'm increasing my service fees, which is my revenue account, the name of my revenue account, for $7,500. Keep in mind, you will never have a debit to service fees. You can't unearn something once you've done it. Okay? E, paid cash on account from transaction C. So I'm not buying anything in this transaction. I'm paying them what I owe them when I bought $4,000 worth of equipment, and I'm paying them $2,300. Okay? So I'm spending cash to do that. So E here shows your decrease to cash, and I'm also decreasing accounts payable because I no longer owe them the $4,000 because I'm making them a payment. F says I paid rent for the month. Anytime I pay something, I'm decreasing cash right here. And I paid rent, so I'm increasing my rent expense. I'm increasing the amount, so at the end of the day, I'll know the total amount that I paid for rent. G says I paid for my telephone bill. Same idea. Telephone expense debit. Credit, because I paid something, so I credit my cash account. H says I earned revenue on account. So I earned revenue, I automatically go to my revenue account called service fees, and I increase it by $4,500. Okay, I provided a service. How did they pay me? It says on account. That means they didn't give me cash, so nothing will happen to my cash account. But what's happening is they're going to pay me later. They owe me. I'm going to receive money later. So my debit, I'm going to increase accounts receivable with my debit. I says I purchased office supplies for cash. I have office supplies, so I'm going to increase my office supplies with a debit. I paid cash, so I decrease my cash. Debit equals my credit. That should always be true for every transaction. Paid wages to assistants. Okay, paid wages, that's going to be my wages expense debit. And since I paid them cash, I'm going to decrease my cash account there. K, purchased a 1-year insurance policy, so I have prepaid insurance for $1,100, paid cash. Okay, you can't buy insurance on account. L, received cash from services performed in transaction H. So H, remember, is where they were going to pay me. So this is where I'm returning my receivables into cash. They owed me $4,500. They're paying me $3,400. So I show a decrease in my accounts receivable because they no longer owe me it because they're paying it to me. And this is where I'll increase my cash, showing that they paid me. M, paid cash for gas and oil expense for my van. Gas and oil expense, $155, and then credit cash. N, purchased additional equipment. This is a transaction where I'm going to have more than one account affected, and we're going to finish that on the next recording.